I still remember that night like it was yesterday. Jessica's voice cracked when she said, "Mark, I'm sorry. I'm with him now." I froze. My heart felt like it had been ripped out and stomped on. "Who?" I managed to whisper, but she didn't answer. Just looked away. The phone slipped from my hand, landing softly on the couch as silence filled the room. I wanted to scream, to ask why. But all I could do was sit there, numb. My world shattered in that one sentence. It wasn't just losing Jessica. It was the way she said it, like I was already invisible. That's when I realized he stole my girlfriend, and in that moment, I lost everything. Looking back, I always thought I was the guy who showed up, the one who gave everything without asking for much in return. I was the steady rock in Jessica's life, the guy who stayed late when she needed help, who listened when she ranted about work, who made sacrifices silently. Growing up wasn't easy for me. My parents were emotionally distant, especially my dad. My older brother, Kyle, was the golden child, the star athlete, the one everyone praised. Meanwhile, I was always just there, the invisible kid. I remember my 16th birthday clearly. Kyle's baseball game was the priority, and Mom barely remembered my cake. I smiled anyway, not wanting to cause a scene. I did everything right, studied hard, kept out of trouble, tried to be the good son, and still, it never felt like enough. In college, when I met Jessica, it felt like finally someone saw me. She appreciated me, or so I thought. I was the guy who always picked up the tab, drove her to work, and never complained. I was patient, loyal, and always there. But looking back now, I realize I was the background noise, the steady presence no one really noticed until I was gone. The more I gave, the more invisible I became. And that emptiness grew inside me, even when I smiled on the outside. I was so focused on holding everything together, my family, Jessica, my own hopes, that I didn't see the cracks forming. I didn't realize that the people I trusted most were the ones quietly breaking me down. That phone call from Jessica was the beginning of the end, but it wasn't the only blow. A few days later, I tried reaching out, hoping to understand. Instead, I got a cold message from her friend, Rachel. "Look, Mark, it's not personal. Jessica's moved on. You should too." I wanted to argue, to fight back, but something inside me just broke. I felt like a ghost in my own story, unseen, unheard. Then came the calls from my family, or rather, the silence. My mom said, "We're just trying to keep the peace, Mark. Maybe it's better if you give Jessica space." Kyle didn't even bother calling. He sent a text, "This isn't how I thought it would go." Even Jessica's little brother, Jake, who used to be like a brother to me, blocked my number. No explanations. No goodbyes. Just one-sided rejections that cut deeper than I thought possible. I stopped fighting. I stopped calling. The weight of their words, their silence, settled in my chest like a stone. But deep down, something shifted. The pain wasn't just heartbreak anymore, it was a spark. A quiet voice inside me whispering, "This isn't the end." I stopped reaching out. No more late-night texts, no more checking in, no more hoping for calls that never came. I deleted Jessica's number from my phone, not out of anger, but out of necessity. I stopped sending money to help with rent, stopped answering family group chats where I was only reminded of how little I mattered. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't bitterness. It was peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't fighting to be seen or heard. I was quietly stepping back, reclaiming a part of myself I had lost. My silence wasn't fear anymore, it was freedom. The space I created was healing, even if it was lonely. No grand declarations. No confrontations. Just a slow, steady fading away. And with each day that passed, I felt a little stronger, a little more whole. Just when I thought I was invisible to everyone, someone unexpected stepped into the story. It was my coworker, Emily, someone I barely knew outside of office meetings. One afternoon, she pulled me aside. "Mark, I heard what happened with Jessica," she said quietly. "But you know, you're not the guy everyone's making you out to be." I was skeptical, but she didn't stop there. "My grandma was in the hospital last year. You were the one who stayed late helping the nurses, making sure she got her meds on time. Everyone talks about you being dependable. Emily's words hit me like a lifeline in a storm. Later, I found out through social media that Jessica's circle had been spinning stories about me, but outside that bubble, people saw the real me. The guy who cared. The guy who helped when no one else would. Even my aunt texted me one day, "Mark, I always knew you were better than what they say. Don't let their lies dim your light." That validation, coming from outside the chaos, broke the illusion that I was the villain. For the first time, I felt seen not for what I lost, but for who I really was. Just when I thought I could finally breathe, the calls started again. But this time, it wasn't about apologies or real feelings, it was about damage control. My mom's voice was cautious on the phone. "Mark, maybe we can reset things. Things got out of hand." Cal texted, "Let's just move past this. It's better for everyone." Jessica's friends chimed in too, trying to smooth things over, but it all felt fake. Like a rehearsed script designed to protect their image, not to heal the wounds. I saw right through it. Their sorries were thinly veiled attempts to pull me back in, to keep control. One message from Rachel stood out. "Can you ask Mark to delete those posts? It's causing more drama than anyone wanted." I realized they weren't interested in me, just the story they wanted to tell the world. I didn't respond, because this time, I wasn't the person who needed fixing. I was the one who finally saw clearly. Then, out of nowhere, came a message that shifted everything. Emily, the coworker who had first believed in me, sent a voicemail one evening. "Mark, I just wanted to say thank you. Not just for what you did for my grandma, but for who you are. You didn't just save her life, you made her feel like she mattered. And that kindness? It's rare." Her words felt like a warm light breaking through the storm. For so long, I had been invisible to the people who mattered most, invisible to Jessica, my family, and the friends who turned their backs. But here was someone who saw me for the quiet sacrifices I made, the late nights spent helping others, and the strength I kept hidden. It wasn't about grand gestures or loud declarations. It was about small acts of kindness, done without expecting anything in return. That message gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time: validation, appreciation, love, not for what I gave, but for who I was. It reminded me that my worth wasn't tied to someone else's approval. Sometimes the people outside the chaos are the ones who truly see you. And that changed everything. A few days later, there was a knock on my door. It was Jessica, or maybe it was the part of my past I thought I'd left behind. She looked nervous, hopeful. I just wanted to talk, to fix things. I took a deep breath and stepped aside to let her in, but when she started to speak, I held up my hand gently. "No," I said softly, firmly. "No anger. No yelling. Just calm, quiet strength. I'm done explaining. I'm done trying to be someone's second choice." She nodded slowly, realizing this time there would be no fight, no argument. I didn't need her understanding or her forgiveness anymore. That night, as she left, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The kind that comes from finally closing a door, not with noise, but with quiet confidence. Looking back, I realized this journey wasn't just about losing Jessica or the spotlight. It was about finding myself in the silence after the noise faded. Sometimes, people who are supposed to love you don't see your worth. Sometimes, walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. If you're watching this and feeling invisible, unheard, or undervalued, know this. You are not too much. You are just too real for people who pretend. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not show up. Hold your head high. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning.